Florida bill would ban warrantless stingray spying, help hinder federal surveillance. By Mike Meharry, published on Jan 3, 2019. Categories: State bills, stingrays. Tallahassee, FLA, January 3, 2019. A bill filed in the Florida Senate would ban warrantless location tracking and the use of stingray devices to sweep up electronic communications in most situations. The proposed law would not only protect privacy in Florida, but it would also hinder one aspect of the federal surveillance state. Senator Jeff Brandes, RST Petersburg, filed Senate Bill 210, SB 210, on December 21. The legislation would help block the use of cell site simulators, known as stingrays. These devices essentially spoof cell phone towers, tricking any device within range into connecting to the stingray instead of the tower, allowing law enforcement to sweep up communications content, as well as locate and track the person in possession of a specific phone or other electronic device. SB 210 would require police to get a search warrant based on probable cause before acquiring real-time or historical GPS location data, and before using any type of mobile tracking device in most situations. Police already must get a warrant before intercepting cell phone communication content. Adding location tracking to the warrant requirement would effectively end warrantless stingray use in Florida. The legislation would also require police to get a warrant before accessing stored location data from a service provider. Under current law, police can access stored data with a court order. The bill does include some exceptions to the warrant requirement. Police could use stingray devices in an emergency situation that involves the immediate danger of death or serious injury, the danger of escape of a prisoner, or when specifically defined exigent circumstances exist. In these situations, police would still be required to obtain a warrant within 48 hours. The contents of any intercepted wire, oral, or electronic communication, or evidence obtained in violation of the law could not be received in evidence or otherwise disclosed in any trial, hearing, or other proceedings. Impact on federal surveillance programs. The federal government funds the vast majority of state and local stingray programs, attaching one important condition. The feds require agencies acquiring the technology to sign non-disclosure agreements. This throws a giant shroud over the program, even preventing judges, prosecutors, and defense attorneys from getting information about the use of stingrays in court. The feds actually instruct prosecutors to withdraw evidence if judges or legislators press for information. As the Baltimore Sun reported in April 2015, a Baltimore detective refused to answer questions on the stand during a trial, citing a federal non-disclosure agreement. Defense attorney Joshua Inslee asked Kaburja about the agreement. "Does this document instruct you to withhold evidence from the state's attorney and circuit court, even upon court order to produce?" he asked. "Yes," Kaburja said. As PrivacySOS.org put it, the FBI would rather police officers and prosecutors let criminals go than face a possible scenario where a defendant brings a Fourth Amendment challenge to warrantless stingray spying. The experience of a Pinellas County, Florida, man further highlights the shroud of secrecy around the use of stingray devices, along with the potential for abuse of power inherent in America's law enforcement community. The feds sell the technology in the name of anti-terrorism efforts. With non-disclosure agreements in place, most police departments refuse to release any information on the use of stingrays. But information obtained from the Tacoma Police Department revealed that it uses the technology primarily for routine criminal investigations. Some privacy advocates argue that stingray use can never happen within the parameters of the Fourth Amendment because the technology necessarily connects to every electronic device within range, not just the one held by the target. And the information collected by these devices undoubtedly ends up in federal databases. The feds can share and tap into vast amounts of information gathered at the state and local level through a system known as the Information Sharing Environment, or ISE. In other words, stingrays create the potential for the federal government to track the movement of millions of Americans with no warrant, no probable cause, and without the people even knowing it. According to its website, the ISE provides analysts, operators, and investigators with information needed to enhance national security. These analysts, operators, and investigators have mission needs to collaborate and share information with each other and with private sector partners and our foreign allies. In other words, ISE serves as a conduit for the sharing of information gathered without a warrant. The federal government encourages and funds stingrays at the state and local level across the U.S., thereby undoubtedly gaining access to a massive data pool on Americans without having to expend the resources to collect the information itself. By placing restrictions on stingray use, state and local governments limit the data available that the feds can access. In a nutshell, without state and local cooperation, the feds have a much more difficult time gathering information. Passage of SB 219 would strike a major blow to the surveillance state and would be a win for privacy. What's next? SB 210 will receive committee assignments on or before March 5 when the Florida General Assembly convenes for the 2019 session. Tags: Cell Site Simulator, Florida, Location Tracking, Privacy, SB 210, Stingray, Surveillance.